Hello, I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today we have arrived at wine tasting number 17, where we're looking at a sweet white wine from Bordeaux. It's called Sauternes. And on the back of the label here, I see that it's made from 100% Sémillon grapes, which we just had in episode 16. And I thought it was the brightest, tartest, most acidic thing I've ever tasted. And today we have kind of the opposite end of that grape. And Sauternes is special because of a treatment the grapes go through, not intentionally, but once it was understood, it was used, it was developed, it was more controlled and directed to the winemaker's ends. So there's a brief description here in my guide to wines, Wine Folly by Madeline Paquette. And the brief summary of Sauternes is several subregions, including Sauternes, collect fog from the Garonne River, which causes grapes to grow a special kind of fungus called Botrytis cinerea, aka noble rot. The fungus concentrates the region's white grapes for exceptional sweet wines. So this fungus doesn't leave behind a fungal or mushroomy taste or smell, but it does make the grapes shrivel up and dry out and concentrates the juice so that what you actually ferment is has much less water in it, much more sugar. And there is a picture. Here's a spot on the map here showing the Sauternes region way to the south in Bordeaux. So they grow Sémillon, Sauvignon Blanc, and Muscadel here. And it's fairly expensive being a Bordeaux. This half bottle was $35. It's a 2019 vintage Grand Cru Classé. And I can see from the back the appellation is Barsac. Pardon my French. None of these pronunciations are going to be right. And it has 13% alcohol by volume. And the name of the producer, Chateau, Doisy. I have no idea. There's too many vowels that can vary. So it's a certain chateau that has wonderful sweet wines, wonderful dry whites, and I'm sure other things, but I don't know the house that much. But I've had this maker's Sauternes a number of times and really enjoyed them. So we'll go through a little tasting here. But before we start, let me get you to like this video. Leave a thumbs up down below, leave comments and questions, share it with friends, subscribe to the channel, and click on that bell to get notified when the new videos come out. So, what we usually do is color first. And this is just a bright yellow, maybe almost getting over to gold. It's a beautiful color and darker than lots of whites that I'm used to. You can tell something's being concentrated here. So, very clear, very bright yellow. And on the nose. Getting the lemon lime things that are very common on white wines. There's a little extra something. I would say lime is slightly more prevalent than lemon, but they're both in there. Maybe other citrus nuts, maybe a bit of orange or grapefruit. It's a fuller, richer nose than I usually get on these whites. And there might be a touch of some evergreen, fir, green thing. Some conifer character. It's just a touch, and it's just a sprinkle of spice. So something green and herbal, but conifer-like. Maybe that's the stemmy part because they throw the stems in when they ferment. I have no idea. Just guessing. And it sort of hints it's going to be sweeter than most whites. There's not the tartness that I often pick up in the nose, or the leanings towards tartness. Suggests it's going to be sweet. So that's a real inviting nose. Very rich, complex. Lots going on and hard to spell out everything. So rather than trying to take it apart when I'm a terrible smeller and taster, let's just taste. Wow. It's, you wouldn't call it sweet in an American beverage way, but compared to all the bracing bright whites that we've had, this is a nice flow of thicker feeling, thicker tasting juice. It tastes like concentrated fruit. Not sure I would pick out grape as the fruit. I'd say the sweetness is reserved. It's muted. It's there, it's not dry. It's maybe not even off dry. But that's as far as it goes. It's not a terribly sweet wine. It's sweet compared to most whites. And they take all those steps to make sure they use the right grapes for this that have been infected with that fungus, and then try to stay out of the way. And from the mid-palate on, there's some sort of extra savory something. I don't know if it's some kind of wood, some kind of earthiness, spices, baking spices. It's in addition to all the things coming from the grapes, I think, that you would recognize as grape, grape origins. Oh, interesting. This is full and rich and complex. It's kind of a apple juice note. There's an appley note as part of the mix. So it's got lots of flavors going on. I might say apple more than grape is what I'd identify as the origin of the flavor. So, and then I can't really tell it's alcoholic. It's 13% ABV, and it's hard to tell it's alcoholic. Not tasting the ethanol, but getting lots of flavors that, with lots of transitions going back through the mid palate and the finish. In the I would say the finish is medium and sweet. Some of the sweet stuff keeps going. Some of the apple notes, apple hints keep going. And there might be maybe a touch of golden raisins in there. Interesting. So different than most whites, so different than most of the wines we've been tasting here. So this would definitely be considered a dessert wine. And you'd probably want it in small quantities. And with the price, that's might be all you're willing to buy is a small quantity. So I've enjoyed this before. I'm enjoying it now. It's a good dessert wine for capping off a meal. I think it would go pretty well with chocolate or cheese or nuts or some little tidbit at the end of the meal also. So try some of those things. So excellent. Definitely a thumbs up on this one. And today's wine verse is from 1 Chronicles 12. And also their relatives came bringing food on donkeys and camels, and on mules and on oxen. Abundant provisions of flour, cakes of figs, clusters of raisins, and wine and oil, and oxen and sheep, for there was joy in Israel. So it's only going to be a couple more of these wine tastings in December, so come back for that, and Merry Christmas.